Maybe they just knew me from my past. Maybe they didn't know what Fuego had inside of it. But every damn match, every damn weekend, one fan at a time, I proved myself and I win them over. And I have won over the GCW fan base. And one last go, get back on TV.
First of all, thank you for taking time to hopping on with us, sharing your story, talking your career. We're really excited to hear everything that you have to say. Usually when we have a guest on, we ask them one simple question. Not as simple as we make it seem, but it's a simple question. For all of our listeners, who is Fuego del Sol and why does he love professional wrestling?
Those are two very loaded questions. Fuego del Sol is a professional wrestler of 11 years. Started when he was 18 years old and has worked his way through the independent scene while also trying to get a college degree, while also trying to raise kids, to eventually getting signed, to eventually getting released, to, hitting the indies even harder. There's so many different aspects that you could ask me about Fuego del Sol, but I guess at the end of the day, I'm just a kid who loved professional wrestling, that chased his dreams and did everything he could to achieve it. And why wrestling for me is just because I have never had anything consume my thoughts as much as pro wrestling. From the day I was born, my father's a giant professional wrestling fan. And so my earliest memories are playing with wrestling figures and watching Monday Night Raw. And so I just was enamored by pro wrestling from the get-go and from the start. And the older I got, the more I just fell in love with it, whether it was, playing with my brothers and wrestling each other on a trampoline, or eventually going after this legitimately and training to be a professional wrestler.
Oh man, I love that answer. Besides the name Fuego del Sol, you have another name as well too, Master of the Tornado DDT. Where did that name come from?
Did you guys happen to watch any of Sammy Guevara's vlogs at all, or not much during the pandemic days?
Not much during the pandemic days.
Okay,
I saw a couple.
I think that's where I grew to prominence and really made my name, and got the attention of AEW fans to begin with. During the pandemic, wrestlers were stuck in Japan and Mexico and Canada borders, and COVID policy during the pandemic was all over the place. So AEW started bringing in independent wrestlers, basically to act as fans around the ring, but to reward them for coming all that way, they would give them matches on AEW Dark. And one of my best friends in the world is Sammy Guevara. And Sammy has done everything in his power to help me out in my career, just like I've tried to do everything in my power to help him out as well. And so I used to, when I first started, maybe my first year in, I started in 2014, I did the Tornado DDT as a signature move. Wasn't my finisher. It was literally just for the first couple years. But by the time I get to AEW Dark, I'm 6 years into my career at this point, right? It's 2020. But Cody Rhodes had been messing with Sammy and saying, hey, when you going to put me on one of these dang vlogs? I want to be on your vlog. And Sammy saw it as an opportunity to get me, someone who was unsigned, in the room with Cody Rhodes. And he's like, man, well, if I get you in a bit with Cody Rhodes and you and Cody become close, it's another step to maybe you potentially getting signed. Well, Cody, going out of his way to try to pop us, looked me up on a Wikipedia page, an old fan website. And it said that one of my signature moves was the Tornado DDT, even though I hadn't really done that move much in years. And so during the bit, he's trying to hype me up before my dark match with Scorpio Sky. And he goes, you're the former IWR Revolutionary Champion. You're the former stuff, like all these indies that you would think Cody had never heard of. He's like listing off my accomplishments. And out of nowhere, he goes, you're the master of the Tornado DDT. Right. And so like I'm amped up because I'm popping because I had no clue Cody looked me up and knew any of this. Right. And then I pop him and I use his line from old promo of like undesirable to ungoddamn deniable. Right. And so then Sammy films Cody watching my match in the back. And Cody's like, come on, he's almost got it. Just hit the DDT. What are we doing here? Just do the DDT. Just do the DDT. Like he makes it a thing. Cody makes it a thing. And so then I knew I was losing. So just every week on AEW Dark, I would tease like I was going to do a Tornado DDT. And then it would get countered or reversed. Right. And so then QT Marshall, who was friends with Cody at the time, and he was also the guy booking the extras for AEW Dark. He was the one who told me, hey, come back every week. He goes, hey, I'm going to start putting this over. On Sammy Guevara's vlog, I'm going to start acting like I'm scared to wrestle you because I got a hurt neck and I'm scared of this Tornado DDT. So Cody hyping me up, calling me the master of the DDT, QT selling the bit and saying I'm scared of the Tornado DDT, and then me teasing it in all my dark matches where I'm going to lose in 3 minutes anyways. It just, had this snowball effect to where Cody is eventually telling Taz and Excalibur to call me the master of the Tornado DDT, even though I've never hit the move on AEW Dark Television. And it just got rolling until eventually I wrestled QT in a big match on AEW Dark. I hit the Tornado DDT. It was so powerful that when I hit it, his momentum took him all the way out of the ring, so I couldn't make the pinfall. It was a huge deal. It was a big deal. And so from then forth, I became the master of the Tornado DDT, mostly just because Cody Rhodes kept repeating it over and over and over again. And in wrestling, that's all you got to do, repeat something until it sticks.
That's very true. Was there another move? If it wasn't the Tornado DDT, was there another move that you were doing that you?
So early on in my career, I was doing the 450 splash as a finish, and then eventually, I felt like everybody was doing the 450 splash. So I started doing the spiral tap, the rotate, the 360 front flip that AJ Styles used to do in TNA, and so I was using it a lot to actually win matches. But I knew I wasn't winning on AEW Dark. I was only there to fill a role. And so why not have fun with it and tease the Tornado DDT until eventually I did get my first win on AEW Dark with the Tornado DDT, and it just all became full circle out of that.
Oh. A lot of people don't know, or most people don't know, you used to be a backyard wrestler before you really jumped into the indie scenes and AEW. What's one ridiculous thing, like when you look back at your career and you see those, there's a lot of clips all over YouTube. You can watch them everywhere, KBW. What's one thing that you laugh at or cringe at? Like, oh man, I really did that, or I did that move. Something that sticks with you.
I mean, there's so much. There's so much to laugh at. There's so much to cringe at. I mean, I grew up in Southern Alabama, and if you would have asked me at 16 years old, do I have an accent? I would have said no, just because everyone where I'm from, I sound pretty. My accent is very tame compared to the people where I'm from. And so just to go back and hear myself, I feel like over the years, since I moved away from Alabama, I've worked on my accent. I still have a little bit of twang in my voice, and I'm proud of it. But I just sound so country, like so hillbilly sounding that it's ridiculous. And so and then like I was trying to play this serious heel character at one point, and I tried to jump off of the railing of the porch, and I break the porch. It like comes undone, so I like fall awkwardly as I'm trying. Like you're trying to be the serious heel character, and you fall awkwardly and break the porch, and like even the so-called commentator, who was really just my friend, trying to call the match, starts dying laughing as we're doing this. It's very funny. I think there's a lot to cringe at, but I'm very, very proud of my backyard wrestling career. I think we had some of the better wrestling and production for teenagers. I'm not going to sit here and act like it was great. It was not. But for teenagers, I had a older cousin that actually did some professional wrestling. So I knew how to base for her Karanas and head scissors. Right. So I take my 10-year-old brother and let him do all these cool looking moves on the trampoline. A lot of people enjoyed that and liked that. And so I think we amassed a real big following on YouTube, and I started getting paid from my backyard wrestling on YouTube ads back when I was 17 years old. And it was that me getting paid from that was kind of the epiphany, the aha moment in my life where I thought, oh, wow, if I can wrestle on a trampoline and get paid, I probably should pursue this professionally. And so that was really the jumping off point for me becoming a pro wrestler.
When you look back at those days, do you miss those crazy backyard days, or are you glad like you survived them, you got through them, and you are where you are now?
I miss the camaraderie with my friends. However, I am a forward thinker, and I very much value the time and of the, how great that time was. However, I am glad to be where I'm at now.
Gotcha. What's you've been Ring of Honor locker rooms, AEW Dark, AEW Dynamite, Collision locker rooms. What's a piece of advice that a veteran has given you early on in your career that's really stuck with you and helped you level up in the world of professional wrestling?
I mean, maybe my second show ever, I was on a show with Honky Tonk Man, former, longest reigning Intercontinental champion ever. Honky is very funny. He's full of stories. He doesn't stop talking if you get him in the right scenario. But I remember him saying, do you want to be the guy that goes out there and does 1 million moves? Or do you want to be the guy that flips people off and drinks beer and makes $1 million? And I was like, you have a point. He's like, do you want to be the guy that goes out there and does 1 million moves, nearly breaks his neck? Or do you want to do this and make $1 million? And like, those were funny statements at the time. But the older I've gotten, the more I realized what he was trying to say. It doesn't mean not go out there and like try to put on a good show and have a good match, but it definitely means that it's more about the person doing the moves than the moves themselves. And I think so many young guys are just such fans of the business and want to get into it doing these types of moves that, a Canadian Destroyer, reverse Hurricanrana or something like that will get a giant pop, but they're popping for the move and not for you. And I think what he means by that is you got to have a strong emotional connection with the audience, whether they love you or hate you, to really make money in this business. And so that has always stuck with me. And the older I got and the more experienced I've gotten in this business, the more it resonates.
What about a piece of advice that you've gotten that you like hated, but you realized that person was right?
I mean, the old veterans will always say less is more and slow down, and less is more and slow down. And it's like, I think to a degree, yes. When you're over, less is more. When you're already over, less is more. But when you're not over, you got to get up. You got to do stuff to get over. You should be trying to do as much stuff as possible to make yourself memorable to eventually get over. And so I think older guys say this, but they don't fully explain it and why and how to, do less and get more out of it, or to, go slow down and really get the most out of things. Because now you're on time schedules and time cues and you have to go. You can't waste time. And so you really have to learn by walking through the fire yourself and just learning by experience and through experience. And it's hard to understand until you get older into the business. And I hated it at first when people would say that you're doing too much. Like, what is me doing too much? Like, as long as I'm safe and my opponent's safe and the crowd is enjoying it. I don't know if there is a thing of too much unless the promoter specifically told me, hey, don't do this or only go this amount of time, So I think those are things that wrestlers might hate if they're getting told that at a young age and maybe don't fully understand.
Have you ever gotten that from a promoter, like when you showed up and they're like, hey, don't do the Tornado DDT because this person does that move, or don't do the 450 splash because this person does that move?
I think as a artist, when you are given restrictions, it makes you a better artist. I think, if I give you a giant wall to paint on as opposed to a 4x6 canvas, your limitations are different. That doesn't mean you can't make two beautiful pieces of art. And I think that's great. Like, go out, tell me I can't hit the ropes in a match. I won't do it. I'll be able to have a good match. Tell me not to throw a punch in a match, and I can go out there and I can do that. I feel like to be a truly well-rounded in-ring technician, you got to be able to call it on the fly, to memorize the whole damn match, to throw it, to make your strikes look just as believable as possible, to look like you're murdering a guy when you're not hurting him at all, to know when to turn it up and to turn it down. And I think all of these are tools in your tool belt or different colors to paint with to where you can make art. And so I don't mind that at all. Like, tell me I got 3 minutes. Like, okay, I'll go out there and I'll figure out how to have the most entertaining or most memorable moment on the show in 3 minutes. And I can figure that out. And I like that. But you do that in hopes to eventually earn an actual time and an actual moment. You know, everybody, Stone Cold Steve Austin has a great quote of like, if you're not in this to be a world champion, what are you doing it for? And I feel like I 100% agree with that. Eventually, I have said this my whole career, and I'll keep saying this, like, I will play whatever role I'm given to the best of my ability, all in hopes to earn a better role. Some people are not out there hoping to earn a better role. Some people are content. I am not.
Yeah, and some people don't want to accept the challenge of, you know, telling them, hey, you can't do this. And, you know, a lot of people might walk away from that set promotion, but you know, you're here for the challenge, and that, you know, I think that really shows that you're a team player. You know what I mean? You go in there, if you're new to this, you know what I mean, you don't know anybody in the locker room, they're already throwing you challenges. You know what I mean? Hey, can't go out there and do the Tornado DDT. I know that's, you know, one of your signatures or a move that you love to do, but that's this person. Okay, fine, I won't do a DDT. And I think that shows a different side of professionalism when it comes to the world of professional wrestling, especially like you said, if you do these things and you do it well and do it right, that promoter is probably going to call you back for another spot or maybe even sign you to an extent, right?
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, I think, you know, everybody has. You negotiate with everyone when you get into the business. So whether you're negotiating a big contract with a giant company or whether an indie promoter hits you up and says, "Hey, what is your fee or travel? You know, travel needs or necessities," and you let them know, "Hey, this is what I want." And if you guys agree, if you guys shake hands, he says, "Hey, I'm going to pay you this amount of money to do this job," then that is pretty much the extent of it. Once you say yes, like if you have all these restrictions, you should throw them out there to begin with. You know, if I come in and I say, okay, I got to come in, I got to win, I got to get paid this much, I got to have a 5-star hotel, I got to have transportation there and from and to and back, and then I cannot bleed and I cannot look bad and I cannot bump. Now, then if he still agrees to that, absolutely. But professionalism is, you know, doing the job that you're paid to do. So whatever your negotiations are, don't come crying to the promoter or booker or whatever after you've already agreed and got the agreed upon fee. If you want to change things up, you should lay all that out right there from the get-go, from the jump.
You kind of, in a sense, had that kind of going on too, right? A lot of people might not know, but you've had a match on Monday Night Raw. I believe it was your one and only match on the WWE network itself. What was that experience like, stepping into a WWE ring, walking into their production, into their atmosphere?
You know, I've denied it for years, but now that people have seen my face, they can put 2 and 2 together. You know, it was very funny because, you know, I might as well just take this off now, to be honest with you. Like, we can do this.
We could do this.
I'm throw on a hat because my hair is a little messy, but this is awkward. This is awkward. I don't see myself like this often since I've unmasked GCW Spring Break. But yeah, going to Monday Night Raw for the first time. I mean, I think I did a couple small pieces of extra work before that, but that was one of the first times that I got it. That was the first time I got a match. It was January 2nd of 2020, right? You know, 2 months before the pandemic hits, really. And I don't know. I just had a feeling about the day that like I was going to get picked. I knew they were doing these Eric Rowan matches where people were getting beat up every week, and there was just something in my gut that said, "Oh, I'm going to get picked." And I remember they picked 2 of us out of the crowd, and they brought us up, and Kurt Angle and Devon were looking at us, and one of the guys had a bunch of tattoos, and I didn't, and so they were like, "We're going to use him because he doesn't have tattoos." Because you have to get clearance and got to make sure they look appropriate and different things like that when you when someone has tattoos. So I had, like I said, I'd been backstage and kind of got a feel for it before, but this is the first time I ever got to speak to Vince McMahon. This is the first time I ever got to, you know, really put a match together with a star. There was a bunch of different things that I very much enjoyed, even though I felt like I was a skinny, pale kid at the time.
It was Eric Rowan, correct? Was your
yes,
opponent that night?
Yes, he was doing the cage gimmick. That at that time he was bringing the little cage. Eventually, we found out it was a spider. There was no spider in it.
Yeah.
The night I wrestled him.
What was that like putting the match together with him?
Well, it literally lasted about 17 seconds, so that wasn't difficult. But what they wanted me to do afterwards is that he was going to put my face up to the cage, and like the way it was described to me, John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon went over this with me way too much. But it's a red-like substance. They couldn't call it blood, but they wanted a red-like substance all over my face. And they also needed me to cover my face kind of like this. And they wanted me to run up the ramp screaming after he put my face up to this cage. And so they wanted to practice it multiple times earlier in the day. And so I had these little blood capsules in my mouth. And like if you go back and watch the match, you can clearly see it's like up in my jaw, and I'm trying my hardest not to bust it because they're flimsy and like they're really activated by water. So
your saliva.
More exactly. And so the ref had an extra one in his pocket just to give me once I lost the match. And so what happens is Rowan gets in, he puts the cage down, he grabs me, tries to take me out there to begin with. I push him away, get back in the ring, and I'm like, come on. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm trying not to spit this capsule out. Also, I was in the middle of trying to grow my hair out for the first time ever, so it's just in this weird in-between stage where you can't do much with it at all, right? And so I just look pale and skinny and all out of whack. It's not something I'm proud of, but I think back to when Jon Moxley, he has an old match on WWE where he has a pink long hair, where he literally had dyed his hair pink for something. And like he's on WWE with pink dyed hair. And they cut back to that clip as a joke, but he ended up being Jon freaking Moxley. And so like maybe one day in wrestling, if I'm a giant star, they can look back on this clip and it'll be a funny thing to look back on. But I remember just even the frustration that Eric Rowan had at the time, because he didn't know what they were doing with this stupid cage gimmick. He was mad about it. He was upset, but he was trying to, he treated me with the utmost respect. He was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. He learned my name. He remembered to say my name multiple times. He never was rude. He introduced himself as Joe. He was the utmost professional. I remember asking Devon, because Devon had to take me to the prop department to get these capsules. I was like, Devon, have you been producing all of these? And he's like, unfortunately, man, I have been producing all of them. I was like, what does that go about? He's like, brother, I just get the sheet and I say, yes, sir, Vince. And I keep going about it because I'm trying to keep a job. I said, I understand that. He said he didn't know where it was going either.
Was it your decision to use the name KJ Oro, or was that something creative?
I saw this on your thing too. So it's I don't know if it was mistyped or what, but it's Orso, O-R-S-O. And KJ Orso, KJ Orso is my real name. And so in my head, I thought, they needed me because of this miss thing, not to wear my mask and everything. So I thought, okay, well, I won't tell anybody I'm wrestling as Fuego. I would just put this out to all my people at home. So I told my dad, and my dad could message all my family and be like, hey, he's going to be on TV. So it was really just a nod to my hometown to like, hey, this kid who's been chasing his dreams for 6 years, he's on TV tonight. Check him out. He's using his real name. And so that's why I chose that name. They wanted to give me another name to like rib one of the backstage guys, but I went up to the people and I was like, can I just use this name? They're like, yeah, sure. And so that's what they put on the screen. I don't even think the commentators said my name, because that's, if at that time they weren't saying anybody's names. They would they'd put it on the screen. They'd be like, oh, this kid's going to get killed. And I got killed. And so
home talent.
But somebody leaked it out, and maybe it was someone who recognized me from the backyard wrestling days and put it out that it was Fuego del Sol. And I was like, damn, I did not want this to leak, but it leaked and it was all good. But then eventually when I did start coming into AEW fame, of course, someone re-uploads it to YouTube as Fuego del Sol Unmasked, so people could always go back and see that match and kind of see what I look like then. But I prided myself on keeping kayfabe with the mask everywhere else. So like even until I finally did Unmasked, people didn't know what 2025 me looked like, if that makes sense.
Right.
So,
no, yeah, definitely. Was there another name besides KJ, or were they?
What do you
thinking,
mean? They definitely were trying to rib someone else in the truck, but I couldn't remember what name they wanted to use at that time. I was just really hoping I could use my own name, and they let me.
So you went from WWE. You've done your match from WWE, and then you've done a lot of AEW Dark, like we spoke about, and then you got signed to AEW. That was a really nice and emotional time for you, for Sammy, he went into the middle of the ring. He gave you the contract. My question is, you've had this incredible feud, and I'm going to call it incredible because I've watched it. This is early on AEW, but you had this awesome feud with Miro. Sadly, it was 3 matches. It came a little short. It was fun. How did the championship for the car match idea come along?
I remember that day being so stressful just because Miro did not want to do this second match, right? Like we had the match on the first ever Rampage where I got signed, and it was damn near perfect. I don't think you could get any better. Like the way we set it up to where I attack him and hit him with a DDT before the bell rings, right? And then the bell, he gets to his feet and I hit him with another one and he goes to the floor. And then he gets back in the ring and I hit him with another one and get the biggest 2 count of my life. Like, I just don't think you could have topped what we had already did. And I remember Miro just being so pissed off. But Tony is like, hey, I got this great idea. Maybe you put your car on the line that you just bought, and then he puts his title on the line. And it's weird because when I first wrestled him, he was in the middle of a feud with Eddie Kingston. Like the All Out pay-per-view was going to be in a couple weeks later. And he was putting his title on the line against Eddie Kingston. And so I get signed. And then on a couple weeks later on a Rampage, right before the pay-per-view, he grabs me, brings me out on stage. He beats me up. He takes my mask off, but I cover up. And Eddie comes and makes the save. And then I thought I was pretty much done with Miro. But then they realized that they were going to slowly transition into a feud with Sammy and Miro. And so we ended up doing this rematch for the car. And I just remember Miro being so mad. He's like, we don't need to do this. This is too much time. This makes you look bad. But Tony was all for it. And he knew that Sammy was going to make the save afterwards and kind of established that Sammy was now headed after the TNT title. So I wouldn't even call it a feud necessarily. I would think Miro beat me up a little bit and we transitioned it into a real feud with him and Sammy. But I appreciate that it was one of my only real programs and like continuity story things on television. So I guess you can call it a feud, but I feel like a feud goes back and forth. And there was no back and forth until Sammy won the belt and Miro disappeared. I just got my ass whooped a lot. I got tossed off a stage and at Grand Slam in front of 20,000 people. But Miro's the man. Miro's awesome. He's incredible. I'm glad he's back in WWE. I hope he's happy and makes a bunch of money because he deserves it. He loves the business. He has a ton of ideas. He just wants to succeed. He wants people around him to succeed. He's the man. And the match was fine. I just knew he didn't want me to hit the DDT at all in that match because we'd already did it 3 times before. So he wanted to, kind of limit it and act like he was smarter the second time around. And there was just an overall dark tone about the day just because Miro was he wasn't pissed off at me. He was just pissed off at this situation that it was just, you could tell he was mad the whole day. But we got to cut a promo back and forth against each other on Rampage. It was a Rampage main event because you had to do the Mark Henry thing. So he was like, I remember right before that, he was amping me up. He's like, you got to make this a moment. When you're talking shit, you got to really, really go after it. Come on, bring it on. It's the biggest moment of your life, Fuego. Let's go. And I was like, okay, he's amping me up. And so I had to cut the promo 3 times. It was awesome.
That's a huge man too. You got to get amped up.
Dude, he's huge, bro. But it was so crazy because like I stiffed the fuck out of him. Like multiple times I hit him way too hard. And like he never complained once. He liked it. He's like, bring it on. It's like the only way it's gonna look like you have a shot is if you are actually murdering me. And I double stomped him super hard a couple times, but he gave it back as well. He knocked me out of the air one time with like a double fist, and it just murdered me. It looked like so vicious. But yeah, Miro's man.
Was that your actual car?
No. So that was Sean Dean had got that car as a rental, and they just randomly picked that car. And like they had sponsors with another company, so like they specifically made me stand in front of the logo on it, so it couldn't be seen what type of car it was. Even though eventually after like a background shot or a replay or something, clearly you could see the logo, and so people knew what kind of car it was.
They didn't give you no say in what kind of car you could have.
No, I mean they'd already picked everything. It was all a Tony idea. It came together so fast. It was so random. They were filming Rampage after Dynamite at that time. It wasn't live anymore, and so it was like it came together so quickly and so randomly that it was like so fast. I'm glad I got a main event. It was my only main event on TV. But yeah, I don't look back at it as fondly just because I wish the match could have been better, and I wish Miro was more excited about it.
I'm sure somewhere out there, Miro says that he enjoyed the match.
Oh yeah, I think Miro has always liked me, and he will always enjoy the work we did. And like this, he helped make me, at least at that time, he helped make me, and I think, he was super proud of that.
Yeah,
we still message back and forth all the time. So like, he's a good dude.
Oh, nice.
What's up, my fellow bad guys? Just when you thought we were down bad, Brandy's here to pick us right back up. Thanks to our partnership with SheGeek, we got good seats and great prices. New users can score a fantastic $20 off their final ticket purchase by using the exclusive promo code 4SIDESOTR at checkout for any event. That's 4SIDESOTR. Tell them the bad guy sent you.
You had a hell of a 2024 season when it comes to professional wrestling. What was it like when you first saw your name pop up on that PWI at 435? What was going through your head? Did you even think you'd make the list?
I got a love-hate relationship with the PWI. I think
a lot of wrestlers have a love-hate relationship with PWI.
When I was an upping, I don't want to ever, badmouth or look down upon or downplay anyone's goals. And when I was an upcoming wrestler, it was definitely a goal of mine to get on the PWI 500. But outside of like the top 100, 200, people apply to get on the list. Like people send in applications, right? You can apply. I remember being 3 years into the business and applying, trying to get onto the list. But it's a kayfabe list too, so you have to work at least a one or two prominent promotions on the indies, or win a title or get some wins, because they look at it in kayfabe of like how many wins, how many titles, what are you doing?
Right.
A lot of times you might not be the best wrestler in the world. It could just be the guy who was dominated, like Roman Reigns got it in 2022 or 23 because he, had the longest reign and was doing the best business. And, in kayfabe, that's what it is. I think I'd be happy or proud about it if I got into like the top 20 or the top 10. Absolutely. Because I feel like that's like undeniable. Like if you ignore someone getting into the top 20, but I feel like PWI, a lot of it is random and subjective, and it doesn't do anything in my career 10 years deep, right? Like I wish I would have got on the PWI 500 before I got signed, before I made a name for myself.
Right.
Being in the 400s, I mean, there were people on that list that no one had ever heard of, that didn't make a fraction of the money I made, that didn't, work at any of the prominent companies that I've worked for. So it's like, again, I think early on, it's a great goal to have. But when I finally did achieve it, in my mind, I was so far past that it didn't mean anything to me. The goals were to get signed and to make money doing this. Me being 435 on the list didn't get me any more bookings. It didn't make me any more money. It didn't sell me any more merchandise. It would have meant a lot to me in 2017 to be 435 on the list. I didn't even know I was on the list until like a week later. Someone was like, "Hey, you were on the PWI." I was like, "What?" I didn't even look. And like I used to check it religiously back in the day, which was very funny.
They don't tell you that you made the list?
No, I mean, no one. Maybe if you apply, but I didn't apply, so they just threw me on there, throw me on there. But no, like you have to. That's one of the things they want you to buy the digital copy or the real copy to see if you're on the list too.
Right. Yeah.
Their highest selling magazine every year is that one.
100%. You're on a list of names. I think it's maybe like 5 guys. I could be wrong, but that got to tag team with Cody Rhodes.
Again, I don't know what type of websites you're looking. I've never teamed with Cody Rhodes.
I've
teamed with Fuego too. My son.
Fuego too. We'll go.
The last time I was in the ring with Cody Rhodes, he gave me a pile driver. So I got some heat with Cody Rhodes, to be honest. Right? In his match with Sammy, on his last match in AEW, that ladder match, I come out there to try to keep the peace, and I got a pile driver for my worries. So have I teamed with Fuego too? Absolutely. Did Cody Rhodes have a huge deal in getting Fuego 2 booked and making it a thing? Absolutely. I will never downplay his involvement in getting Too Fast 2 Fuego off the ground. But I've never teamed with Cody Rhodes.
What kind of things did you learn from Cody though, like backstage as you were doing the vlogging, just learning promotion, like wrestling in general?
I think he leads by example tremendously. And I think he just seeing how much he cares, not only about himself and what he's doing, but to help others. Like he's definitely got a big heart when it comes to professional wrestling. And then to just have fun. My boy, we would come to work and laugh and have a good time. And, you know, he would always be about business, but you know, in the meantime, in the downtime, let's have some fun at work. And so, you know, I've been backstage now at Raw and SmackDown a couple times since I left AEW, and like he would like introduce me to people and like laugh, and we'd go on his tour bus and do shots and different things after the show. And I'm like, he's the man.
Was there a time that you knew Cody was just like on another level? Like he was the guy?
I think even before I got to AEW, I had so much, like I remember his feud with Jericho where he cuts like that promo of just like the hottest babyface I've ever seen. And then, you know, his first very interaction with me, like I said, he looked me up just to get a feel and pop. Like, so he always puts in the extra effort. And then he tries to make it act like he doesn't. That's another thing. He tries to act like, oh man, I don't care. It is what it is. And like in the meantime, he cares so much. And he always goes the extra mile. And but yeah, just he would wear suits to work, and I feel like, you know, dress for the job, you won't be professional. And he would help younger talent anytime they wanted advice. And I think that's a sign of a great pro, is helping the younger generation. And, you know, going out there and trying to put the best foot forward and have the most fun. I think Cody is the living embodiment of a top guy, and I'm glad he finally got his world championship and the recognition he deserved.
100%. Wrestling's a huge grind, right? And a lot of fans, including myself, we don't truly get to see behind the stage grind. We get to see wrestlers like yourself come from backstage, go to indies, make it big time, get signed, and then sometimes we see a fall off where there's a release or something like that happens. What's the grind that fans don't always see that you wish they could be a part of, or even the grind that really tested your mental health but made you stay with wrestling?
It's such an emotional and physical toll on you, that if there's a string of bad luck or like just a couple bad things that don't go your way, it could be such a major setback, mentally and emotionally. And I feel like fans don't understand, like, right, you start wrestling and you basically do it for free for the first 6 months to a year, I would say. Sometimes you do it even longer than that. Like, you're setting up rings, you're going to shows, just trying to get on, meet people, but you're so fresh and new into the business, and your mind is like so blown by like, I can't believe I'll get to do this. There's like this puppy dog phase where it doesn't matter that you're doing it for free or little to no money, because you're just so happy to be there. Then you gain a little bit of experience and you might start making $20, $30 here and there. And like, as long as it's enough to maybe get you gas to there and back, if your goal is to make it in pro wrestling like mine was, I feel like I knew that was the necessary steps. And then you become so good, at least where you hopefully can make a little bit of money, even if it's just, sometimes I'd have to travel 5 hours by myself down to Austin, Texas from Oklahoma, drive 5 there, and I would try to drive 5 back just to get to work the next morning. And so if you don't like driving, if you don't like being in the car for a long time, wrestling is not for you, right? So you're driving 5 hours to make just enough gas money to get you there and back, whether it be $50 to $75, and then you're driving back home. And maybe you sell a little bit of merch, maybe you don't, maybe you bring food instead of trying to buy anything at the gas stations because you're trying to count your money, right? So it's like, unless you have a good job or a good support system at home that supports you, like maybe mom and dad is helping you out because they know this is a grind. Maybe you have a significant other that's taking care of the big bills because you're trying to take off on the weekends to make enough money to make it work, right? But like in 2017, I got into a really bad car accident and I only had liability insurance. I couldn't even cover my own, new car. And or I remember getting pregnant with my first kid and like just thinking maybe wrestling's gonna have to get put on the back burner. It's like any sane person that doesn't have something that they're passionate about would think you're stupid or insane to travel, 600 miles to wrestle for $75 and then drive back. Right? Even now, if you told me, hey, I just stapled $500 to a tree in Omaha, Nebraska, I probably wouldn't drive up there to go get it off the tree. But if you told me, hey, I can wrestle a match while I'm there, then I would go do it. Does that make sense? It's like,
yeah,
that's how dumb it is, right? It's like,
right.
you wouldn't go get it, even though you wouldn't have to put your body through anything. But the fact that I get to wrestle, oh yeah, I'll go get that 500. Like, that makes no sense. But you have to be almost delusionally in love with something like this to really even put yourself through the sacrifice. I tell people all the time, you're going to sacrifice something. You're going to sacrifice money, time away from friends and family, or sleep. Figure out what you're best at sacrificing and what your balance is, right? Luckily, I had a decent enough job to help make ends meet that would also let me off on the weekends to go grind at this. But then your parents might be like, hey, eventually, what are you doing with your life? You know, maybe your significant other starts putting pressure on you to do something else, right? Maybe you see your friends developing and investing and diversifying their portfolios and buying houses, and you can barely afford to make rent this month. And like, it's such a toll on your mental of like, am I on the right track? Am I doing enough? Like, I tell people, your mental health is only as strong as your schedule is full. If you don't have big things coming up, you drive yourself crazy. Like, all I was trying to push for on the indies is like, okay, well, I'm wrestling Ricochet in 3 months. So at least I got that coming up. And then I wrestle Ricochet. Oh, well, we're doing this big show in front of 1,000 people in 3 months. So at least I can keep working to get to that 1,000 show. Boom. Now they're doing a joint show with TNA. So maybe I'll get on TNA. Boom. Oh, I just booked extra work for WWE. Let me just keep going until I get that. But if you don't have these things, if you're just doing random shows where you're losing a lot and barely making any money, and you feel like you're not getting new bookings or not feel like you're taking steps in the right direction, it drives you insane. And sometimes it'll still drive you insane, even when you are making steps in the right direction. And again, if people don't love professional wrestling, they would not understand any of this. But if someone has something they're super passionate about, and like all they are obsessed with is making it happen, you can kind of understand where I'm coming from.
Has there ever been a time where you thought about quitting all of wrestling?
Never. This is a drug and I'm addicted to it. And regardless of what I have done in the past, I have never I'm going to be in this business till the day I die. Commentating, training, refereeing. You'll never get rid of me. Promoting, booking. I'm going to be doing something. Like, I was bit by the bug, and it's irreversible, is what I tell people. Like, I love it too much. Not only do I love getting in the ring and wrestling, I train guys right now at a school, and just to see someone fail at something over and over and over again, but keep trying and then eventually nail it, there's a rush. Like, I just won the world title at WrestleMania. Like, that's how much I love it. Like, there's something magical about helping people move forward. I hope someone has something in their life that they're as passionate about that can consume their every waking thought, like wrestling has consumed mine.
There's just something about growth that's just so believable, right? Like, I know you have children. I have children too. He's 1 year old, my son. So when he learns all these new things, it's just watching the growth on him. It's just a humbling experience, and I'm grateful that I get to watch this personally. How do you personally reset? You know, when you weren't making the big checks or even making hundreds of dollars, how did you personally reset after having a bad match or a rough weekend?
I'm very good at compartmentalizing my emotions. And I think, I'm super logical. So like, why did this go wrong? Okay, maybe I wasn't in the best cardio shape that I needed to be in. Well, what can I do this week? I can go and get on the treadmill or go for a run or get in the ring a little bit more and work out better to make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay, why did I get released from AEW? Well, I don't think I ever truly won over the main guy to begin with. And maybe I said some things or did some things that, did not help me take steps in the right direction. So this time around, you got to become undeniable. You got to become so good in the ring that they cannot ignore you or forget about you. And I think I turn whatever negatives I have in my life into a positive and into motivation to move forward. I just truly, even when I feel like good things happen to good people and karma's a real thing. And like, even when I had those major setbacks in my life, something would either come bail me out or I would learn such a good lesson from it that I, then took steps in the right direction to make sure that would never happen again. And so I'm very grateful for even my setbacks because I feel like I've learned from them tremendously. I think lessons that hit you the hardest resonate with you the most. And like you learn, hey, I touched that fire and I got burnt, and maybe I'll never touch that fire again, you know? And so I think just being able to have a good attitude will take you so much farther. I always figure out a way to have a good day. I think I wake up on the right side of the bed every morning. Like I can go to prison tomorrow, probably for the rest of my life, and I'll just make the most of it. I'll be like, okay, well, we're here. What can I do today to make this day good in prison? God, I hope I never go to prison. But that's the mindset I wake up with every day.
No, same here, man. I love to tell everybody, everyone's like, how do you always have a smile on your face? And, I just truly allow humbleness to take over my life. I'm humble for everything, even if it's something's bad, try to find the light, try to find something good, and keep pushing positive forward and just letting all the bad things go and, fixing those things when you can get to those things. Because sometimes you can only control the things you can control, right? So
absolutely. And the things you can't control, you can control your attitude towards it. So
correct, 100%. Can you share a fan interaction that when if the check wasn't too big, but you traveled some way, or even if it was an hour away or 30 minutes away, so a fan came up to you, something that stuck with you wholeheartedly and told you, this is why I do professional wrestling?
I mean, I think there's too many to count. I mean, I've had people come up to me and just like, especially during the pandemic when everything was dark, us doing those vlogs for Sammy Guevara, we developed such a fun friend group and so many funny moments that have resonated with people over the years that I would have fans come to me all the time, like, man, you helped me through a dark time, or hey, man, you helped me laugh on days that I couldn't, or like I had a man come up to me and say, hey, my daughter had cancer, and we'd watch those every Tuesday, and it would like bring us a little bit of joy, and we forget about the world, or just learning to, someone believes in you so much to, like, I got a guy out of South Carolina, his name's Ishmael Carmichael. He literally probably owns every shirt I've ever put out, ever. Like, he buys masks. If I ever put up masks for sale, he has subscribed to me every single month on Twitch for nearly 4 years. Like, he has not stopped supporting me. And to have that type of support where you have spent probably at this rate, got nearly thousands of dollars, I would say, on someone's, is like, that's insane. That's insane. Someone could believe in you that much.
Yeah.
I wrestled some close to him, and he drove 2 hours by himself to wear a Fuego mask and sit in the second row and cheer me on. And it's like, that's crazy. Like, there are people out there that believe in you and like find so much joy in what you do that they will spend their hard-earned money and spend their time, paying attention to you and supporting you. And that's crazy to me. So I'm just very thankful for the 11 years I've been able to do this and to cultivate a fan base. I call them the Fire Nation because I'm a big Avatar of the Last Airbender fan, and Fuego, it just makes sense. So, very thankful for my Fire Nation.
And I love that, man. We talked a lot about you being backstage in AEW Dark, Wrestling Miro, but you were released by AEW. Your contract wasn't renewed. Take us back to that move. Take us back to that moment. Did you feel blindsided? What emotions hit you? Did you know it was coming?
So I got signed on August 13th, 2021. And they gave me an option deal, which meant like, hey, for potentially 4 years, we're going to sign you. But every year we have the option to renew your contract or not. So it's basically just 4 one-year deals, really, if you look at it.
Right.
If they renew. And so I remember all of that first year, I was doing stuff with Fuego 2, and I did stuff with Miro, and then I did stuff with the House of Black, even after Cody left. Cody left right at the beginning of 2022. And so I was doing stuff with the House of Black. I had a mini feud with them up until about May, and my contract was coming up in August. And I remember getting an email saying, hey, we're renewing you for your second year. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's great. And I got that in May. But then after that House of Black feud, I was basically took off TV. I was really only doing the AEW Darks in Orlando every 6 weeks. And so even then, I felt like something, like I got to do something different or change something up or I'm going to get released. And I remember messaging Tony constantly or like trying to talk to him at trying to talk to him as much as possible when I did get booked. And I finally got brought in again for a couple of dates in 2022 at the end of 2022, right around November, October. And I even pitched trying to go to Japan and do some things. And Tony was like receptive to it all. And then literally in February, I broke my foot. In February 2023, I broke my foot. Right. Again, my contract's coming up in August. And I broke my foot. And I broke it at an indie show, but I was barely getting booked ever at AEW. So I feel like the only way to stay, but I feel like even no one cared because I wasn't being used. So it's like, besides missing the taping every 6 weeks, I really wasn't even missing anything. And I remember just being so defeated by breaking my foot. Because even before I broke my foot, right at the beginning of 2023, I thought, yeah, even if they don't renew me in 6 months, I'll go to NXT. I'll go do something else. I'll just keep proving myself. Like, even if they don't renew me, I kind of already was planned for it. Even if they don't renew me, I'll be fine. And then I'll break my foot in February. And like, the news just kept getting worse. At first, I thought it was just a sprain. Then you find out it's broken. Okay, well, then they think maybe you don't need surgery and it'll just be a month and a half. And then it finds out I will need surgery. Okay, well, now it's going to be 3 months, maybe 4 months. And then it turns out it's going to be 4 months. And it's like, just things just kept going down and down. And I finally remember getting my cast off and I'm like, okay, it's time to rehab like crazy, right? They said I might be back right at the end of June, which will give me 2 months before my contract goes up, right? Is up. Right. So I'm like, okay. I just trained hard and so hard and so hard. And then I remember getting a group text message with Tony Schiavone and one of the AEW lawyers while I'm at the rehab facility. And this is like June 22nd, maybe like a week before I felt like I was going to be cleared, right? They literally were about to clear me at the rehab place. They were like, okay, 2 more sessions and you should be good. And I get that and I go out to my car and I call them. And I remember there's a conversation I had with Tony Schiavone. And they were like, hey, we're going to actually release you a month early. So July 1st, you will become a free agent. And I just remember being I was already so motivated at physical training to get back. I was almost just pissed off, but like in a motivated way. It was like pissed off for greatness is what I would always say. Because I was like, really? I was like, okay. And he was like, and I told Tony Schiavone, I was like, you just let Tony Khan know that I'm gonna be successful in professional wrestling with or without AEW. Appreciate the time. And I remember him saying, man, I really hope you prove us wrong for you. I said, no, Tony, I will prove you wrong. He's like, I'm glad you're taking this well. I was like, well, how else am I supposed to take it? I can't change it. It's like, I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. Yeah. And of course, a year later, they bring me back for a bunch of shows in Texas. So it's like, it's so weird how things work out or don't work out. But I think the foot injury really just put a giant question mark in my life, not only in my career at that time. And so who knows what life would have been like if I didn't break my foot. Maybe I still would have got released. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would have ended up doing something different on television and still would have been there. Yeah. But I'm kind of glad it all worked out the way it did because I immediately just hit the ground running. Like first I had to get my feet back under me, literally and figuratively, because I had to, fix my foot. And then I just really worked hard on getting my body and my just ring IQ back. Like I've never broken a bone, and especially not a foot. So you really have to get your balance and your timing and everything back. So I worked really hard all of 2023 to do that. And then in 2024, I hit the ground running and worked at GCW almost every month and went to London and the UK and wrestled over there and just went back to AEW for a little bit and did some things there. So it's just like 2024 was like my comeback year in a real big way of like, it's probably my best year in wrestling. It wasn't the year I made the most money, but it was definitely my best year in wrestling.
Right. And that goes back to like you said earlier, you can control your emotions, because if you really did let your emotions get the best of you, you could have cussed Tony out, you could have cussed everybody out, you know what I mean? And then in 2024, you could have been, I guess sitting at home, depending on how that would have played out. But you kept it professional. You just told him like, hey, I get it. I'm gonna be better than ever, and you're gonna see me. And like you said, they brought you back for a lot more dates. You did a couple more things. Will we see you back at AEW?
I mean, as of this recording, right? I just wrestled and lost my mask at George and Ellis Spring Break for GCW, and there was talks of me doing this for months. And Tony Khan found out about it, and he told me don't unmask. And I basically told him, hey, if you bring me back, I'll be Fuego forever. And he decided that right now is not the best time for that. And at that point in time, I wasn't going to keep waiting around for them to come to my city every 6 months. I needed to make something happen for myself. And so I decided against it. So I even tweeted it out like after my last match aired. I was basically like, hey, this is probably my last match ever in AEW Ring of Honor. And what I really meant was it was Fuego del Sol's last match ever because I won't be Fuego del Sol again.
Interesting.
Yes. And so, yes, I don't know if I'll go back but I'll tell you, I'll put it to you like this. Twice in my life, I've asked Tony Khan for a job, and I will never ask him to work at AEW again. If I work at AEW again, it's because he asked me.
Interesting. You unmasked at such a big weekend too, WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. Walk us through that, man. Why did you decide to do it? Why that weekend? Why at GCW? What was going through your head?
It's so weird, right? I originally donned the mask because I was just very, very small. My trainers thought I reminded them of young Rey Mysterio. They advised me to get lucha training, and that's what I did. And it was really just a means to an end. It's like, hey, put on a little bit of weight, and in a couple years get good, and then you can take the mask off. Yep. But then it became a thing of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And it snowballed, and it just kept going. And I kept getting booked, and I kept getting better. And, but my goal was to never keep the mask on this long. And I contemplated taking it off multiple times over the years, just because I feel like I'm not the worst looking guy in the world. And I think it limits your speaking ability, and it limits the way fans think about you when you're a lucha guy. Mm-hmm. And I think that it was going to be necessary for me to grow and evolve eventually if I was going to need to unmask. But again, it felt like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the day that I got released from AEW is the day I felt like Fuego died a little bit. Right? I was made in AEW, and I felt like Fuego died a little bit. Fuego left.
Did it feel good when you saw the IWC commenting on Fuego del Sol?
It was gassing me up. They was gassing me up. Yeah, I can't lie. I felt good, right? I'll be 30 this year. And I don't feel like I feel like I'm the best. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. I feel like I look the best I've ever looked in my life. I've definitely had a glow up in the past couple of years, and so it felt good. You never know. You never know what you're gonna get when you take this mask off when you held it out for so long. But I was not expecting how many people said I looked said I was a good looking dude, which was very crazy to me. But I'll take it.
What does the unmasking mean? Is this retirement for Fuego del Sol? Do we have something new coming? What's in the agenda?
Man. You said this might go out this weekend. So if it goes out this weekend, I would advise everyone to just stay tuned. That's what I would say. You never say never in this business, right? You never say never. And like I just said, I'm going to be in this business until the day I die. So just depending on what I'm doing or where I'm going to be, you just need to stay tuned. That's what I would say.
I love that. Keeping everybody on edge and just waiting. And I love it. And I think hopefully you'll break the internet again, right? I guess now
that's the goal. That was the whole reason I did the way I did it. It's because I wanted people to really get I knew it was going to get buzzed that I unmasked. But I knew it would get a shit ton more buzz if I left my boots in the ring after I did.
Yes. And I think that's the one that you even had Dustin even tweeting about it. Like
I didn't have Dustin tweet about it. Dustin legitimately doesn't know my plans. So he legitimately tweeted.
Well, I'm not saying you had him tweeting, but like he even took time to go on there, say like, kid, you were way too talented. What does this even mean? You definitely had everybody.
Listen, I have never once used the word retirement in any of this.
No, 100%.
I never tweeted retirement. I've never uttered those words until this interview. People have assumed that I'm retiring, and that's what I mean. When you leave boots in the ring, that's usually what that means. But there's been plenty of people who've let their boots in the ring. Undertaker, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they'll never wrestle again.
Definitely speculation. I mean, when it happened, and I had my team text me, it's like, did you just watch that? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, we're still interviewing him, right? I was like, well, yeah. He hadn't said anything.
I agree. I'm a man of my word, a man of my dates. If I agree to a date, I'm gonna stick to it.
No, man, I love this. I love the fact that you're head over heels right now. You're so ready. It seems like you have your future plan, and you're ready to show the world like everything that you have to offer to the world of professional wrestling. We already had Fuego del Sol. For the fans that love and everything that you did in the ring, I'm sure they're gonna love this on a higher
Or
note.
maybe they'll hate it. Who knows?
Or
That's
or maybe
wrestling for you.
or maybe they'll hate it. That's wrestling for you.
Dive into a world where every pinfall, every suplex, and every promo is celebrated in fashion. From the legendary 3-count trivia to the iconic bad guy wrestling, we've got the latest gear to elevate your wrestling wardrobe. Show off your passion for the squared circle. It's not just clothing, it's a lifestyle. Come shop with us and unleash your inner champion at foursidesofthering.com. That's foursidesofthering.com.
Man, I've heard you say a lot of times. You said you wrestled in the UK, but I've heard you say a lot of times your dream is Japan. What is it? What is it about Japan that makes you want to go out there?
I feel like, I really do feel like the people I looked up to, like your wrestling is so good that it transcends languages. It transcends cultures, right? Sometimes it's the same way with music, right? Sometimes I have no clue what these K-pop bands are saying, but you want to dance to the music, right? I have no clue what Bad Bunny might be saying at this moment in time, but I know that it sounds dope. And I think wrestling is that way too. It's a language. And if your wrestling is so good that it can transcend cultures and transcend languages, then you're doing something the right way. Also, I love traveling. I love visiting new cities. I'm such a history buff and a culture nerd. I feel like I just feel like that if you're a wrestler trying to be the best, then you have to go over to Japan and try to win that crowd over the best you can. And my goats, AJ Styles, has been over there and done that. The Young Bucks, so many people that I've looked up to. And that's just in recent years, man. Even back in the day, you have guys go over there like the Stan Hansens and the Bruiser Brodies of the world, Vaders, and like win the crowd over. And like I have always felt like that wrestling in front of those crowds that sound a little bit more silent and watching and appreciating different ways that you tell your story. I want to experience that. And so I want to go to Japan, and I don't want to just fly myself over there. I could easily probably buy a plane ticket over there and find someone that would book me to wrestle. I want, to be so undeniable, to be so good that people buy my plane ticket, fly me over there and want me to wrestle there.
Right.
I want to earn it.
I love that. Who would be your dream opponent if you did get a chance to go out there?
Oh man, I would love to wrestle Hiromu Takahashi. I think he's phenomenal. He's crazy. He's awesome. I would love to wrestle Sonata because I think Sonata, trained by the great Muda, and has been a nomad in wrestling to wrestle all around the world like he has. I would love to wrestle El Desperado. Similar. He's phenomenal. Kushida, just a legend of the game. I would love to wrestle him.
Tanahashi's on a retirement run.
I know. But like, I feel like there's just some names that are like, I would love to wrestle Tanahashi. I just don't think I'll ever get to like. I would love to wrestle Jushin Liger, but he's retired. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'll be able to make it over there in time to wrestle Tanahashi. But I would love to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to just go experience it all. Put me in the ring. Like there's guys in Noah, like Naomi Marufuji before he goes out. I would love to wrestle Marufuji. I would love to wrestle Tai Ishimori, man. I would love to wrestle Ishimori. I would love to wrestle, there's a bunch of guys in Dragon Gate. I've looked up to Shima for so long. I would love to wrestle Shima or tag with Shima or El Lindelman or any of these guys that are just killing it over there. So many names. There's a young kid named Ozawa that I trained with in London who's now taken over Pro Wrestling Noah as this crazy psychotic kid who's like so over. I would love to wrestle Ozawa over there one-on-one. That would be awesome.
Any other places outside of Japan that you would love to wrestle? Mexico, Australia?
I've gotten to travel to Mexico multiple times, and I've gotten to wrestle in Canada a few times as well. I would love to go to Australia. I've never been there. I would love to wrestle in Africa because I would love to do that. I want to hit all the continents really, but I feel like I barely scratched the surface in Europe. Like I went over there and I wrestled in Wales and in England. But I didn't need to hit Scotland or Ireland or, France or Spain or Pro Wrestling Holland. There's a big company in Holland that is doing some great work in Belgium and Denmark. I would love to hit all of these different countries. I keep a map on my phone of places I wrestle just because I enjoy market. Like there's a goal for every wrestler to wrestle in all 50 states. So I would love to do that. I'm at 34 right now, maybe 35. I can't remember. I think I just marked off 35. So 15 more to go. No. Yeah. Right. Am I tripping? Yeah. 15 more to go. Love to do that. And I would love to mark off as many countries as possible. But Japan is definitely up there. It's probably number one.
Yeah, I think Japan's is a spot for a lot of wrestlers. And you said it in a perfect way, shape, or form too. It's you really want that off your bucket list. And I think there's a certain level or two different roads everybody follows. It's like, well, I gotta be WWE champion. And then some people are like, well, I want to wrestle Tokyo Dome. I want to wrestle here. I want to wrestle against this person. I feel like there's always two levels of success when it comes to professional wrestling. Some people might say, well, if you don't make it to the WWE, you never made it. And I think that's truly wrong. I think if you can make a name for yourself and be successful outside of the WWE, you've been successful in professional wrestling.
I feel like it's really what you define success as. I've always said I wanted to wrestle. I want wrestling to pay my bills. And, I'm at that point to where wrestling does pay my bills. It doesn't mean I'm going to have the greatest savings in the world, because wrestling has a lot of sacrifice and things of that nature. But, wrestling pays my bills, and I'm very thankful and grateful for that. And as long as I can keep that happening for as long as possible, that's the success in my book.
What's something wrestling has taught you that you thought you would never expect to learn from it?
I think when you're younger, when you're in your youth, friendship is due to your surroundings. You're friends with people because y'all go to school together. You're friends with people because y'all go to church together. You're friends with people because maybe they're your family members and you have to be around them often. Your friends are due to circumstance, not necessarily due to true friendship. I think true friendship you learn is when you're away from people. And everybody has those friends that, they don't see for 7-8 months. Maybe they don't even talk for 7-8 months, but the second they see each other, the conversation picks right back up where it left off. And that's great. But I feel like true friendship is someone you want to check on every day, every other day. Even if it's sending dumb TikToks back and forth to each other, right? Right. I think the value of true friendship is that. I think I've learned that through professional wrestling, that I have a friend group where we are spread out all over the United States. And we still find time to talk to each other, to lean on each other, support each other, to help each other all the time. And then I think it makes you value your time with these people more when you do get to spend time together and around each other. And then I feel like you look for those times more often and you appreciate that time. I feel like sometimes, especially when you're younger, you don't value the friendship and the love that you have around you. And I'm so grateful for the love and support I have around me. And then when I get to spend actual quality time in person with those people, I cherish it even more. And I think that's something wrestling's taught me because I travel so much. So you miss different things, you miss birthdays, you miss this, you miss that. And so to have people that want to constantly be a part of your life, even if I don't check in, if I don't check in with anyone in my phone for a week, I know I'll have 15 different people checking on me of like, hey, where you at? What's going on? We want to talk to you. And that's something great. I feel like there's people out there in this world that don't have close friends or that don't have a good support system or that don't have family. Maybe they passed away or they don't live next to you or things of that nature. So to have people that actively go out of their way to talk to you and support you and love you is something very special that wrestling has taught me. And I probably would have learned that lesson either way, but I feel like unless you travel as much as a wrestler does, it's hard to really put into words when you're constantly weaving in and out of like life, each other's lives.
Mm-hmm. And especially trying to find yourself as a person and as a wrestler, try to fit into the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, there's a big saying in wrestling, is like you fake it till you make it, right? And like a lot of that is like you're trying to fake the success and fake this happiness and fake this, this whole bravado that you're putting on to make it look like you're a star. And so they don't see, the real side of you sometimes, the real emotions you go through, when you're facing those setbacks or when you're hurting or when you're upset or when something happens. So I feel like having a great friend group to lean on and that supports you and checks on you during those hard times, just as much as they check on you and love you and support you during those great times, that is like the true meaning of love and support.
If you could go back, man, and I'm going to throw a name out, give young Cage some advice, knowing everything that you know and every place that you've been in your professional career, what are some things you would tell him?
Well, at first I'd say get your puny ass into the gym. You're not as good as you think you are. And if you really want to make it in this business, you need to put on some fucking weight, you child. That's what I would say first. Because I just remember I would be so focused on being a good pro wrestler that I thought, oh, I'll be so good that I'll be undeniable. But like, I look back at myself now after I put on all this weight and I just think, what an idiot. How do you claim to be self-aware? How do you claim to want this as much as you want this and not go put in the time and effort in the gym? And then I would also tell them that it's going to be better than you ever imagined. It's going to be more fun than you've ever could have imagined. It's going to be crazy to find out who you become best friends with. Hey, you went and watched WrestleMania 30 and Daniel Bryan was holding the titles above his head. What if I told you you're going to become friends with Bryan? You're going to get to train with him. You're going to get to learn next to him, right? Hey, you was buying those CM Punk shirts. And what if I told you he was going to come up to you after matches and give you advice? What if I told you he was going to be in your DMs and giving you advice when you break your foot and help you cope with things? Like, I think I would blow his mind. And so I would just tell him, don't stop, keep going, believe in yourself, and go to the gym. That's what I would tell him.
Nice. I love that. What's next for Fuego, man? What can we expect? You already said Saturday. Stay tuned, everybody, Saturday night. But what can we expect in the near future?
From Fuego del Sol, nothing. From Fuego del Sol is dead. Fuego is done. I tweeted it out. I'll say it again here. Fuego del Sol is done. I kind of hinted at it and alluded at it earlier, right? I felt like a piece of Fuego died when Fuego left AEW, and Tony Khan decided not to bring me back full time. And so I just felt like it was time to put this chapter of Fuego del Sol behind me. And so what's next for Fuego del Sol? Not a goddamn thing. What's next for the man behind the mask? I think I got some stuff cooking. Yeah, I think I got some stuff cooking.
Nice. I love that, dude. I truly appreciate you taking some time and coming to talk to me. I know, like I said, you've had the craziest 2 weeks that's been happening. Everybody's speculating what's happening. But during all that speculation, hey man, you got called a handsome person by millions and millions of people across the world.
Yeah. I had one of the best matches of my life too. I feel like people definitely should go out of there, even just checking out any of my GCW stuff. I tell people, if you have $8 to spare and you want to watch more pro wrestling, subscribe to Triller TV. Not only do you get all of GCW, you get events all around the world, but you should definitely check it out just for me. If you're a fan of me or interested in me, I wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. a couple months ago, one of the best matches of my career. I'm super proud of it. I've wrestled a bunch of just some of the best independent names coming up, some WWID talent, and I wrestled Atticus Kogar in a feud that has been building for months at Joey Janela's Spring Break, and it's one of the most brutal matches I've ever been a part of. It had some high stakes, and it was probably one of the best matches of my career. If you don't mind a little blood and gore, if you don't like blood and gore, it's probably not for you, but definitely think it's up there. So I definitely would advise people, I think Triller TV's, they have different free trials that you can do too. Jump on that. Check out these matches. Check out me killing it.
100%. Before we get out of here, man, I'm gonna put you on the spot because I know you have a lot of great friends, a lot of best friends. If you could have a faction of your own, 4 people, what would the name be? Who would be in it?
I feel like, again, if people didn't watch Sammy Guevara's vlog, they probably don't understand why I got signed. I feel like one of the main reasons I got signed is because I won people over through that vlog. I showed how entertaining I can be, how funny, how wholesome, how smart I am to professional wrestling, how I can build a story and pay it off with the QT Marshall match. And I feel like Cody Rhodes even joined our group chat for one day only, just to tell us, hey, keep this group together. Stay together. Y'all have something special. Don't let anybody split y'all up. Don't get mad at each other for dumb shit. Build this because y'all going to be stronger together than y'all will be apart. And I'm so mad that we never really capitalized on this on television in the actual vlog crew. And when I say vlog crew, I mean myself, Sammy Guevara, Griff Garrison, Alan Angels, Marco Stunt, and sometimes occasionally Aaron Solo, but Aaron Solo's in a bunch of different groups, so you can't really count him. But the main guys, which would be Griff, Alan, Sammy, me, and Marco, I feel like there was something special with that group. So just to have it on television once, I think would have been great. You know, we did it once on AEW Dark after I got my first win, which I thought was going to be my last match in AEW. You know, Tony allowed all of them to come down. Even Dustin Rhodes, who was involved a lot in the bits that we did on the vlog, he came down. So, like, there's a great picture of all of us, like, holding each other's hands up, which is, like, a photo I really cherish a lot. But I wish we could have got the actual vlog crew on television. Now, if we're talking just all-time greats, like, I don't know, like, I would love to have been a part of DX for a little bit of time, you know. I would love to have been, maybe me, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. I don't know who else do I throw in that instead of just being the Radicals and WCW Cruiserweight guys. But, like, I don't know. I have the Hardy Boys. I would love to just join up with the Hardys for a little bit of a run. Like, they're phenomenal. Just putting together my own faction is difficult because I feel like I'd have to be in the right place at the right time in my career. I think just random baby faces put together is strange. Most of the time, you only put random baby faces together to fight a big heel faction. So that would mean I would have to be a bad guy, you know what I'm saying, to make this work. So I would just love to have gotten the vlog crew on television, one way or another.
Is yours and Sammy's relationship still about the same even after the release and everything?
I think people don't know this. People didn't know this, that we were best friends before AEW, and so we've remained best friends since, right? So like we've been best friends since 2016, I want to say, and it only got stronger in AEW. I think me and him helping each other with the vlog and with just supporting each other in life, we got so much closer in that time that's when we really became. I was the best man at his wedding. I would trust him with my kids. He would trust him with his. Like, we talk every day. No one has spoke to me more since I got released from AEW than Sammy Guevara. But like, sometimes it's not even about wrestling. Sometimes we're just talking about life. We both have kids. We're both fathers. Me, Sammy Guevara, and Cody Rhodes have a group chat together where we talk all the time as fathers and stuff like that. So it's like, people don't know this. Like, I helped Sammy help build his YouTube channel up before he got signed, because I had a big YouTube channel with my trampoline wrestling stuff. With KBW. That's how we met. He messaged me trying to grow his YouTube channel. I gave him advice on how to grow that, and he would help get me booked in Texas. And so we would help each other get booked back and forth. We would help each other with YouTube. And then when he got to AEW, he called me before anyone else when he got signed. He called me before AEW had been announced saying he signed to AEW. And I remember that being like a huge deal for us. And so, like, when that time came where he was like, "Hey, why don't you come do AEW?" I was like, "Of course, let's go." And then when I got to AEW, I think it's awkward trying to film a vlog and asking people to film and be a part of this. And I was like, that's how we got together. I was like, "Hey, give me the camera. I'll film whatever you need, whenever you need it. Let me help you out." Because in turn, he helped me out and got me there. And so it just grew and grew and grew. And we talk every day. We have me, him, Sammy, Alan, Griff, Marco, and Aaron have a big group chat that we talk in every day, send each other videos, support each other. He's the man. We'll be best friends till the day I die.
I love that, and that's like that goes back to you talking about follow a good support group, and you're still friends with all these people who are doing bigger and better things in other promotions, or maybe had to go back to the indies to refine themselves. Or Sammy Guevara, I know a lot of people. Sammy gets a lot of hate, and that's a whole other conversation. But I know the biggest,
some warranted, a lot of it not. Some of it's warranted, but a lot of it
a lot of it. And the biggest one is that he has a punchable face, and I think that's the one that everybody laughs about the most.
I agree. I thought this dude was a douchebag when I first saw him. You look at him, you think he's a douchebag, and then you meet him and you see how he treats other people, and you find out he's a genuine, good-hearted guy. I watched this guy shake everybody's hands, learns the name of all the production crew, not just wrestlers, production crew, shaking all the extra. Like, he could not be nicer person to person. It's just, he looks like a douchebag. And when the red light is on, he believes he's the best. And I feel like people don't like that. Maybe they think he believes it too much, but I feel like that's the sign of a true professional. Believe you're the best when the red light is on and you step through the curtain. And when you're behind the scenes, you treat everyone with the same respect you would want. And he does that. Unless they unless they buy into the character and get mad at him or just don't like him to start with, then that causes problems.
I think some people just get confused when they see confidence and they just think somebody's just being too cocky.
Especially in the world of professional wrestling, where you're supposed to look confident or cocky at times.
Especially in the world of professional wrestling. Man, Fuego, or the man behind the mask, dude, thank you so much for taking time, speaking to me, your career. Hopefully we could do this again, after you release everything and we can come back to a chapter 2, No More Fuego, and say hello to the man who is behind the mask. Other than that, brother, please let all our listeners know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and where they could be seeing you in the next couple months.
I think the best place to find out where I'm going to be at is on my social medias. Fuego del Sol on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, but I'm going to call it Twitter. On Instagram at Fuego del Sol _. I'm also on TikTok, Fuego del Sol _. I also have a Facebook page that you can follow, Fuego del Sol. Without spoiling too much, that's the places you should go follow me at. That's definitely what you should go follow me at. I have a Twitch account as well, twitch.tv/Fuego del Sol. But yeah, just stay, especially I try to, on my Facebook page and my Instagram, or on my Facebook page and my Twitter account, I try to pin the tweet of all my upcoming dates, so you can see where I'm going to be at in the next. I think I also am going to start an email chain. I feel like with the algorithms nowadays showing you for you don't see whatever, but I feel like to really amass the true fan base that really care, I would love to do like a bi-weekly email, just putting out, hey, this is the new merch. These are the best matches I've had. These is where I'll be at coming up. I feel like emails is non-formal. You can check it. You can delete it. You can look at it and say, oh, Fuego's doing this, this, and this. Cool. Even if you're not watching all the matches or following me on socials constantly, just checking in, a fun little check-in. I think it's a fun little thing. So
like a monthly newsletter.
Yes, exactly. Just saying, hey, these are the top clips. These are my best clips on social media. This is where I'll be at this month. This is the most recent merch I put out. And this is what I'm, here's a couple quick words of what I'm thankful for, or happy about in life. And, I'd love to put out a little monthly newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter. I think I'm going to start doing that here in the next few weeks too. Working on it.
Oh man, definitely. Pass us all the information. We'll share everything for you. You guys heard it here first. You know where to follow him, all his socials. Stay tuned. Saturday evening, he's got big plans. Sounds like the man behind the mask has a lot going for him in his future, has planned out a lot for his future. I know I'm excited to see it. I know everybody who's going to listen to this is going to be excited to see it. Man, Fuego, we hope nothing but the best for you in your future, and hopefully you come back, man, and we can talk a little bit more after everything is said and done.
Yeah, I think we will have a lot to talk about.
Thanks, man. You have a great night.
You as well.